Hey folks, this is Jesse with Find My Wings. Thank you for coming back here, or nice to meet you. Now, today I want to talk about something that I really care about and I've really fallen in love with, and that's Forza Horizon 5. Now, I don't have the opportunity to have a special winter car, and I don't really want to use my car a ton during the winter. I'm based in Ontario, Canada, so we have a ton of road salt, which causes a lot of corrosion, so even with an oil-coated car like mine, it's just not a great thing to overly use in the winter unless I really have to. Especially for spirited driving or track days or anything like that. There's not really going to be an opportunity for a number of months. Now, Forza Horizon 5 came out. I managed to get it on the early release, so I was playing it on Friday. I've played it for basically a week now. All things considered, I had to reshoot this video very last minute because a lot of my data was corrupted for some reason. And so I have about an accurate week playing Forza Horizon 5. I haven't got too far through it, but I wanted to do a review as if this is more of a replacement for your winter daily driving experiences or your winter sport or winter enthusiastic driving or maybe even professional driving. So let me get right into this. I'm going to show you my computer really quick so you know what I'm dealing with. I know a couple people on here are nerds and have asked me about my computer before. So I'll start there really quick and try not to waste your time, but use the chapters down below if you want to skip all that, of course. Alright, so I'm going to go through this at breakneck speed. We have a 1440p... Alright, I'm going to try to go through this at breakneck speed. 1440p unlocked, 160 frames per second, 165 hertz G-Sync monitor here. We have some peripherals, Keychron K2V2. We have an Elite Series 2 Xbox controller. MX Ergo, Razer stuff going on here, HyperX Cloud 2s, a couple monitors, my G920 wheel with the H-bead, and then my custom computer down here. So this is a computer I built about 5 years ago the first time. So it's a 6700K, 6th gen Intel. It has a water-cooled CPU. So all the top of this case is actually a 360 millimeter radiator. This is actually a water reservoir that looks like a double helix genome spiral. And then inside we have our brand new RTX 3070, bought at MSRP. And I did upgrade to 32 gigs of RAM. We're running on M.2 storage, and this computer does very well with a game like Forza Horizon 5. So let me know if you want to see more of this thing.
Alright, so off the bat, you can see that the way I play this game is trying to use cars that are familiar to me. So this is a 2017 GT86 that's set up as closely as possible to my real-life car that I can, given the restrictions in this game and the types of mods that it has, and it is a right-hand drive car is really the only difference here, but same interior, same color, same spec at the end of the day. And so really this car has an intake. You can't really see it visually, but it is in there. You can hear the sound difference, and it does have a different muffler, and it is on slight lowering springs because the stock game makes the car look even higher than stock, and it already is a high-looking car, so this just brings it back down to realistically what it looks like on my car. And then the muffler, of course, you can't see the difference, but it does have an exhaust upgrade. And so, I mean, that kind of is my first point about this game, is that if you have a car that happens to be in this game, or even if not, if you want to explore cars that you might be interested in buying or something like that, this game does give you that simulator ability to not just put this car on a track, which is very cool in Gran Turismo and Forza Motorsports and Assetto Corsa and things like that, but you can go and drive it around Mexico, which I think is very, very cool. So now, out on the roads, I'm going to try not to drive around much. I've had some audio issues, so ultimately driving and talking is really tough. So I'm probably just going to go find some spots to sit and talk to you. So you can see in front of my villa here. Now, these roads are really cool. Now, Gran Turismo, Forza Motorsports, things like that, they do have a lot of laser scanned roads, as do Assetto Corsa and a lot of its mods. Now, this isn't necessarily that, but what they've tried to do is recreate a similar style of road, and at least give you enough that whether you're using a giant simulator rig or if you're just using a controller like I am right now, I do go back and forth between a wheel and a controller, you'll feel something. And whether it's force feedback or just vibration feedback, you'll feel the road moving around. You'll see and feel when you hit a curve or something like that. And even when you just change terrains like this, you can feel the difference, you can hear the difference. Now, I want to talk about really the three main aspects of this video, which are going to be why I think this is a really cool option for being able to still get some seat time, really still have a car experience, whether you're going to be locked inside over the winter with corrosive salt like I am, or if you maybe just don't have an opportunity to have a fun car, or if you maybe just don't have the opportunity to drive a car in general. Now, the next piece I really want to talk about is the value of this game in general. I think it's a very highly valuable game for what you get. It's also not the cheapest game, so I'll explain a little bit of that and how I think about it. And then finally, I want to compare it to some of the other video games and just give you a summary of why I love this game and why you probably should try it. And again, this is not a sponsored video. Okay, so the first part here is going to be why I think this is a very valid game to replace the experience of driving during the winter or any time that you might not be able to get to your car or a car in general. Now, of course, I've already talked a little bit that you can create your own car and you can go very deep. You can customize everything about this car. So first of all, there's some additions, whether you're using this as a supplement or not. You can really try out things. So I try out rims on these cars. I try out certain performance modifications. I try out certain levels of modifications to see if it really fits me, if it fits the car, if it fits the dream that I want to build here. And you can do it in a beautiful environment. Now, some of the cool things now are that performance aspects really take part in physics and the audio that are happening here. So if you put an intake on this car, you can hear more induction sound. If you put a different exhaust on this car, you will hear a different exhaust sound. When you modify the suspension, the physics is taking it more seriously and trying to use it like more pre-built physics model in some of those traditional driving games to make sure that it's accurately related to your driving experience and how the car feels on the road, which is pretty cool. You can't really say something like that about Need for Speed, even though they kind of try. It's very generic and very mobile game feeling comparatively. Now, outside of modifying your car and playing with your car, there's a ton of different ways to play it, but in general, you have the options to drive around. You have the options to start car meets. There is a full free roam and there's a full social mode in this game. So you can meet people, you can just drive around, you can take your cars, you can do photo shoots, you can race, you can play. Or if you're like me, you go to the Touge and you sit on the Touge and you really mess around on the Touge over and over and over again, probably 75% of the time that I'm in this game. Now, some of the other parts here is that you do get some options. So when you are driving your car, you can make it feel however you want. And so you can do the traditional kind of arcade game, this third-party view, or you can get right into seeing your hands on the wheel, looking around, and actually seeing the inside of your car. Or if you're using a simulator, this is kind of the best way to go so that you can actually still see and hear everything going on. Now, overall, I think this is a great replacement because it's on roads, because you have this beautiful scenery, because it's fun, because it's still social, because there's events, things like that. I think it's amazing for that. I'll talk about the comparison to some other games and the third part here, but I want to next talk about the value of this game in general. So when I'm talking about value, the first thing is this a big game? Do you get your general money out of it? And the answer is, oh yeah, it's huge. This map is gigantic. If you go up on the mountain, you can only really see a certain amount depending on what time of day it is. You can kind of see to the coast, but you don't see everything in between. You can only see one direction, and it takes up the whole view screen. It is a giant game. It has a lot of cars. It has like 700 cars or something. I don't know. That might not be accurate, but it's in that realm. I think the last game did finish off above 750 cars in Forza Horizon 4 after all the expansion packs. Now, it is also a game that has continual updates. So Forza Horizon 4 was basically supported until like last week before this game came out, and it received seasonal updates. It received giant platform updates. There's all the seasonal events still kept rotating through in that time, and it had a high user base during that time. So you know that there's going to be stuff to do. You know that there's going to be updates. You know there's going to be more content coming. You know there's going to be people on there all the time, any time of the day, anywhere you are playing this game if you want to do more of the social aspect of the game. Now, as far as optimization, I think this game is outstanding with optimization. Now, I'm running everything kind of in this, let's just see, Ultra, Extreme in a few settings, everything else just maxed out. And on a 3070 at 1440p, I generally like to say it's like 75 to 100 frames per second, depending on where you are and what you're doing in this game. And that to me feels really nice at that level of settings. I feel like the shading and the shadows and the textures are absolutely beautiful in this game, and they don't really give me much to desire. Ray tracing is the only probably weird part. There's no ray tracing right now, but if you go into a photo mode, allegedly there is ray tracing in some of these modes here. And so, it's kind of tough. They've already done such a good job with reflections and colors and shadings without ray tracing that it's hard to exactly know where it's coming through here, or if this is even the right mode to do it. I might just be a noob, so let me know in the comments. But at the end of the day, this game gives you a platform to give any car you want a try, to give modifications on the car a try, to drive new roads, and to do it with other people. And it does it in a very optimized sense. The very final part of value to me is accessibility. This game is notably amazing accessibility. So folks with permanent or temporary disabilities do have an opportunity to jump in and test this game, whether you're on a controller and a base model Xbox, or if you're on a $10,000 gaming rig with full motion controls. This game will play fair and it will make the most out of your setup. Now, I personally had such a good experience with Forza Horizon 3 and Forza Horizon 4 that I knew this was going to be my main game. I played the most hours in this game, and so I did pre-order this game. I got the full package. I think if you go down to that base package, you're going to have just as fun of a time. You just might miss out on some of the expansions, so you have to figure out if that's worth it or not. Generally, the expansions are one very serious place. So the last one was like Isle of Man, Wales, kind of a hybrid area. And the other update for that game was Lego. So it was real life Lego. You could drive through a Lego city and smash Lego in the same kind of quality as the rest of this game, which was pretty nice, I have to say. It makes you think. And the game before it was Hot Wheels. So we'll see what comes down the road. Maybe they'll do Matchbox and finally give them some justice or something like that. But I imagine that's what the expansions are going to look like. Everything else is just basically cars. You're going to get the same updates. You're going to get the same quality. You're going to get the same networking ability, whether you're on the premium or the base model of this game. So to me, I'd probably put around 550 hours into Forza Horizon 3. I was closer to like 780 or something on Forza Horizon 4. And so $80 to $130 from base to kind of premium packages actually makes a lot of sense to me. It's probably the main game I'm going to play. So I hold off buying other games just to make sure I can get the most experience out of this game. All right, so the very final piece that I want to talk about here today is versus other games. If you have $100 in your pocket and you want to buy a game, what should you choose? So I can make it pretty simple. If you like grid racing and you only like doing time racing and doing very professional feeling racing, you should wait for Gran Turismo 7 for sure if you have a PlayStation. It looks like the most impressive, just kind of grid, bracket, circuit, generally professional racing that you can get for the money, and it's always super impressive. But it doesn't really have any free roam. It doesn't necessarily have like a networking level social aspect to it, and it's purely track racing. That's it in a game like that, which is perfectly fine. But after a while, you kind of just want to mess around on the roads. That's what most people and a lot of my generation is really looking at anyway, is 2K racing. And that's where this game starts to really excel. Now, if you're into 2K racing or road racing, you get left with options more like Assetto Corsa. This game, you get maybe Grand Theft Auto if you want to be a little bit more abstract. But at the end of the day, this game has really cool physics. It has options with the physics, so you can actually really modify the game to however you want to play. And now, the range that I'm talking about here is everything from, let's just see, if you put this down to tourist, it basically drives your car for you. So you can walk away from the screen and the car will probably be fine. Like, it will do a race almost for you, all the way up to unbeatable, which uses, I believe, similar to above the level of Forza Motorsport 7 physics as far as difficulty. And you can do all the same customizations with driver assists, braking situation, steering physics. This is the big one. So like auto steering versus simulation is a huge difference. And you can really modify everything else that you want. And of course, a bunch of other stuff within it. But it leaves it a game that you can kind of make it whatever you want to make it. And to me, that's nice, to have the freedom to just mess around. You can see there's other people on the screen here that are just driving around, driving up the hill, driving up the down the hill like I do. And these are people that I'll probably try to race with. And when you're done, you don't have to just go to the next race or lose contact with that person. You can just drive over to the coast if you want. You can go back up the mountain. You can go find some other 2Ks in the other mountains here. So to me, that's really cool and that's very impressive. Now, that brings me to the kind of the final comparison of something like a Grand Theft Auto almost, or an Assassin's Creed, because the game is so giant and open. If you look around on the map, you can see there's a variety of event types. It goes from everything as a battle royale to just simple races here. And then lots of cool Forza proprietary stuff thrown in the middle, which is very cool in my opinion. Grand Theft Auto, of course, is not going to be as car focused. This game is for car people that understand cars. Now, the very final comparison is that there are two kind of game realms that do compete with this game just a little bit, and that's Need for Speed and The Crew 2. I've played both, I own both, I don't like either of them. Whatever Need for Speed you're talking about over the last 3 Need for Speeds, they're all kind of the same game to me. They're very pretty to look at, they have amazing customization and good soundtracks, and after that, the game just feels garbage. It feels like a mobile game. It feels horrible. Like, you have to turn this game down to the lowest settings to feel as bad as Need for Speed, which says something. And that just ruins the whole game for me. Whatever your feelings are of the game, it doesn't feel like a high quality game. The Crew 2, alternatively, it's a very large game that tried to do a lot of stuff, and it kind of worked against itself in my opinion. It's almost so big that it's annoying to play, and there's so much to do that it doesn't feel engaging. It just feels like everything takes so long, and it's so large, and if you mess up or have to go back to do something, it takes a lot of time. This game is so fast. It has rewind mode, so if I mess up, I can literally just rewind and it'll skip the game back literally in time, which is pretty cool. And so, compared to other games, to me, this is the one. This is probably one of the only games I'm going to be buying in the near future. It's going to be this, Gran Turismo 7 whenever it comes out for my PlayStation 4. Hopefully that goes well. And something like Fable or the new Harry Potter game or something like that. And so, to me, perfect game for me if you are a true car enthusiast, or if you just like a really good arcade game and you maybe want to learn about cars, or even if you just want to test something out for your IRL cars. This game is awesome. As you can see here in the background, with these new updates, you can also hear these cars coming up and going by. So you're going to probably see some drifting in a minute here. Well, maybe not. Looks like they might be struggling a little bit. But this is what stands out about this game. I can just sit here and watch other people drift by me. You can see he slowed down like, hey, hello. And these are the opportunities when you make friends. So overall, if you're into cars, you should try this game. If you're not into cars, you should maybe give it a try. I'm going to go race with this guy. I'm going to give you a little bit of a summary, but let me know in the comments below if you want to see me do more of this game. I actually do a lot of 2K racing in video games, and I like doing things like this, of taking on a more professional car with a base model car, if you can still hear me. And so, let me know. I'd be glad to upload some of my gameplay videos and actually show you how to be a really good 2K driver in video games. So thank you very much.
Alright, so thank you so much for watching this video. I hope it helped. I wanted to review Forza Horizon 5 in a little bit different light because there's so many reviews coming out about it. But ultimately, this is going to be most of my seat time during the winter. I think using my wheel is just an amazing feeling. It works so well with this game that I can imagine a really high-end simulator is going to get close to that feeling of actually driving on Mexican roads with whatever car you choose. Of course, this isn't the most simulator game, so some of the car stuff isn't quite accurate, but as far as just trying to have a good time or trying to go for a little bit of a drive when the snow is falling or when you're bored, or if you might not have the option or opportunity to have a fun car that you can go out and just drive, Forza Horizon 5 is by far the thing I spend the most time on in the entire world. So thank you very much. I appreciate all the likes, comments, subscriptions. We're hitting 200 subscribers. We're going to be approaching 50,000 views pretty shortly here. So I really appreciate it if you're able to throw in a comment, throw in a like, if you're able to subscribe or share this with somebody else. It really helps us get past the algorithm, grow, and have the opportunity to make better content for you in the future. So thank you very much. This is Jesse with Fun Wings. Hope you're happy and healthy where you are. See you back here soon.